Hello and welcome to episode 462 of the God is a Geek podcast. My name is Adam Cook and I'm here to host a fine crew of gentlemen because the games, they are upon us. They are with us. They are around us. They are, I've said upon us, but I'm going to say upon us again. They are inside of us. They are deep inside of us. Is that not right? Christopher Hyde.
They're penetrating, I think is a good word. Penetrating. Yeah, no, there's lots of games in and around the next few weeks. Lots and lots of them.
In and around.
In and around.
Big fan of in and around. It's not just you and I, Chris, and I know
Adam's
off this week, but there is returning, I don't know how to say this best, returning from the wilderness of being not on the podcast. It's only Muster. I've done it wrong!
Oh,
it's Chris White! It's Chris White!
Hello!
Hey, mate, all right.
Hello, yes.
Really angry with yourself.
Deep throating that gameplay all week.
I'm really angry I messed up your intro.
Got better since you've been away, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, I can see. I'm impressed.
I'm really not happy.
That was a real balls up, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a hard word to say, mister.
No.
Two syllables, Mr. And I went to go, Muster Krista Hyde. I was going to say Muster Krista Hyde. Right? Well, Muster's hard, but it was going to end. The reason I had to stop it and I couldn't just sort of bulldoze my way through it is because I was going to call him Cruster. So it was going to be Muster Krista Hyder. And it was just totally wrong. It was all over the shop.
If you called him Hyde as well, that'd be even worse.
That's what I mean. I was going to get his name wrong, everything. It was terrible.
Everything.
It was an awful introduction.
It's all right. It's all right.
Chris, how you doing, man? How's everything? Good?
Good, yeah. Good.
I'm hoping that over your shoulder that's a pair of pants, and that would be an amazing start to the podcast.
Dirty pair, that'd be great.
No, it's a pair of joggers.
That's really... Are they soiled?
Dirty?
What?
Soiled.
They're dirty.
I thought you said, are they soiled? No, they're not soiled.
Oh, okay. Well,
they just come out of the wash, actually. I'm going to put them on after the pod.
So is that your way of saying you're not wearing them now? And
I'm literally balls out.
Yeah, no, I would like to think that. I mean, I assumed so, but you're supposed to have it confirmed. We should start doing that. I mean, listen, we'll get into the games, but does anyone want to watch the Ranganation at all?
No,
I know what it is, but I haven't seen it for a little while.
They still do the thing at the end of the episode. It was like, who's not wearing trousers? I forget what it was called. And because it's all on Zoom calls, like you see like the same what people are seeing now, and it's basically one person each week isn't wearing trousers, and they like go. This doesn't work audio wise,
yeah,
like that to show off who's not wearing the trousers. And I think that's a clever idea. Speaking of not wearing any trousers, yeah, no, it doesn't work.
I was going to say, what are you going to do now?
I was just thinking if I got anything, but not really. I mean, FIFA, we could have gone FIFA because they're not wearing trousers or shorts, but that's not what's on the list, and we know I'm a stickler for the rules. So, Christopher White, Alan, you can call me Alan White then. Jesus, should I just go? Alan Wake. I had a sip of this seltzer before the podcast, so I don't like it, and apparently I'm pissed out of my head. Alan Wake Remastered. 10 years on, Mr. Wake is back with his original game.
He is.
How is it?
Well, I mean, like, the way I can compare the feel of playing it in a way is like Tony Hawk's playing that again after playing it however many years ago. It feels right. It feels normal. It's like all the controls haven't been adjusted massively, but it just plays really well and it looks really well. And like with certain games that have been remastered, there's like a few touch-ups on textures and stuff, but you don't really notice it as such. But like you can definitely tell this has been improved greatly.
Apparently they touched up the faces quite a bit.
Yeah, the animations are a lot better. Like they've kind of nailed on the lip syncing properly. But still like your occasional Thunderbird moments where they look a bit wooden, but that's because the game was made
10 years ago.
2010.
So, well, it's 11 years, actually. Yeah.
So, you know, the game is, I mean, as a game anyway, it's fantastic. Like it always was. There's no adjustments to the game or the DLC or anything. Why would you want to? You don't need to. Yeah. They've just really they've like tapped on the adaptive triggers and the vibration, that kind of thing, just to kind of bring it into the now on PS5. But yeah, it was so good to play it again. Really enjoyed playing it again, and it still holds up. The story's still excellent. Like just like the weird bits you forget about, like Night Springs, the TV show. Like I've completely forgotten about that.
Like that's crazy because that is they sort of do stuff like that in Control.
Yes.
But it cuts... Or does it? Now I'm wondering if I'm false memory here a bit. I want to say they actually cut to it, and you see the show... Like, you start watching the show, and then they show the clip.
A lot of it is like on TV sets around...
No, but I mean in Control. Don't they actually...
Oh, in Control, yeah.
And I'm sure they did... Well, I mean, Quantum... What the hell was that name called? Quantum... What was that game called? No, Quantum Break's all I can think of right now. Well, no, it wasn't. That was a different show. Oh my God, what was that other Remedy game called?
Quantum Leap?
No, that was the TV show. It was Quantum Break. It was Quantum Break is the name of the game.
Yeah.
That one was like the whole TV show thing. In this, it's kind of its time from what I remember. Like, you walk up and the TV starts playing this episode of what is it? You know,
it's weird.
It's Twin Peaks, isn't it? Basically, it's night falls.
Yeah,
it's just playing, and you as a person playing the game, you just like put the controller down and I'm just sitting and watching the television in this.
You do that all the time. Then it's not just the TV shows; it's just the dialogue. Like it's so well written, and it is very similar to Twin Peaks. But like, as a person who loves Twin Peaks and loves David Lynch, it's timeless, and I feel like that is what Alan Wake is like. Playing it now, it doesn't feel old, it doesn't feel weird. It's very much kind of like respecting the Stephen Kings and that kind of thing, and it's just I just loved it. I mean, there's not a lot you can say.
No, I mean it's
you could read the review for more kind of detail on the technical aspects and what kind of has been adjusted and tweaked and made better. But like, I mean, I obviously played it. I'm sure you guys have played it.
Yeah.
All those years ago, and you'll want to.
Yeah.
Oh, you are. Right.
Oh, he hasn't played it. Name a game he has played. It'd be easier.
I said that quite thinking, you know what? I bet he has. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to bring to light the fact that he hasn't played a lot of big games. I'm just going to assume he has.
Just say what you think.
Yeah.
No, but the thing for me, I've a question because we'll talk about Kenner later. But the question I have really, because obviously I've heard a lot.
Is it which one of those should I play, this or Kenner?
No. I know what you're going to say about that. But
Alan Wake.
Yeah. But and ironically, I probably want to play Kenner more. But listen, wait. So this is obviously, like you say, it's a 10-year-old game, but it's also doesn't feel like an old game. Whereas the criticisms that I hear of Kenner, and I haven't played that yet, but I will, is that really does feel like...
Oh, man, he's blowing... This is the big guns. These are the podcast discussions. These are. Wow.
And it feels like that the criticism of that feels like an old game. And so therefore going with your expectations kind of tempered a little bit. So I'm just trying to get a sense of if this game feels like it's been left alone as a 10-year-old game but tarted up. So why is that better than Kenner? And that's what I'm trying to get
the thing that makes it... So, in the daytime for Alan Wake Remastered is when it shows its age. Because at nighttime, when it's dark and it's all about the lights and the shadows and, like... there's a... I mean, this is not going to be very helpful to those who've played it, but there's a moment where you go in one of the many, many log cabins, right? And I've played this game numerous times on 360. I've played it on PC and obviously PS5 now. And I had never noticed this before, but I don't know if they've added it just for more atmosphere or suspense. I suspect not, but there's a moment where I was just like looking around with the torch in the cabin, just getting the collectibles because I knew the game better this time around. And one of the enemies walked past the window, and I had never spotted that before, right? But because of the light and the atmosphere and everything, like it just really, I guess I was drawn to it. Perhaps I got a bigger telly than I ever had before. I don't know. Maybe I just happened to look at it at the right moment because it doesn't feel like it was scripted to be like it would always be there. Because if it is, I've missed it every time. And I have played it at least 4 times, 5 now.
Quite possibly you've missed it. I mean,
possibly.
There's a lot of detail in this game, and obviously you see a lot more of it with how good it looks. Now. But
where it feels its age for me is that, like, so you'll have a combat encounter and you'll usually have just enough or too much ammo to get through that combat encounter, whereby when you finish that combat encounter, there will be more ammo and batteries for your torch. And like every single time, you will kind of finish a major section and there'll be, oh look, there just happens to be a lamppost in this forest, shining a light down which will heal me. And look, there's a box attached to it. Open it up. it was energizers, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was back in the day, but there's batteries and some handgun ammo for some reason in this box in the woods, and it happens every time. And that sort of level of convenience that still happens in games today, but it's dressed up in a way it's not like that on the nose and obvious. And Kenner does do that stuff. I think, like it, not in so much as like there's some ammo, but it does kind of like it's very much. So here's the start of this section. You will do stuff in this section. When you get to the end of this section, it will be very apparent. I think Kenner does the same kind of thing. You've arrived at a little village where you can just have a little scoot around and look at things, but then you're going to go through this very obvious door or sort of barrier that is like this is going to be the next section. It's that kind of thing. Whereas games now have gotten a little bit more. Not obtuse, but just less on the nose about things. So, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I always felt, I reviewed this as well for NME, and I always felt, even back then, that like all the coffee thermoses kind of, in games like this that are so atmospheric, and I think Resident Evil still does this, and it's still the same, those collectibles in games like that really devalue the atmosphere. Because if you're either of a mentality where you're going to go like, not interested. And that was me back in the day. Now, I don't know what's happened to me. Maybe it's hanging around with Chris so much, but I've become the kind of guy who wants to collect everything. And that really devalues the kind of the tension and atmosphere when you're like, I'm going to look around for a thermos flask. I mean, I don't know. But like, that's not really much of a criticism. It's a lot of games do it. Most games do it. Assassin's Creed does it. They all do it. I've forgotten what your question was.
It's more just it's two games that are quite recent.
Yeah.
And the vibe I'm getting from what I've heard people say about Alan Wake is that it plays like it used to, and that's great, like an older game. And the criticisms I've heard of Kenner is it plays like an old game, and that's not so good. And I'm just trying to get a sense of the difference. That was all. I'm sure it's probably part of the Kenner conversation as well. Just it felt like
Kenner,
a good.
Like we may as well talk about Kenner. We may as well move into Kenner.
The platforming and all the moving around and jumping and whatnot. It like we've been spoiled with great platformers this year alone. Like, but even in recent years, I feel like a great platformer is all about its gameplay, and that's where Kenner fails because it doesn't have fluidity, and it shows, and that's one of the things that I really didn't like about it.
Yeah, like the jump doesn't. It almost feels like. Do you remember like the first Uncharted game?
Yeah.
When it was like the idea's there, but it's not quite.
It's not got the finesse.
Yeah, it's not quite sort of fluid, like you say. The fluidity's not quite. Yeah. No, I don't think that's. What you mean.
I don't think that's down to the studio. I think like It Takes Two was done by a smaller studio, but that is near perfect. Well, it is perfect gameplay as a platformer. Yeah. And I know they're very different games, and I'm not saying like Kenner's awful in compared to it, but
they're very different
for the kind of game it is presenting and providing its players. It doesn't work half as well as the platformers and the action games that have come out, even like Horizon. Like it's not just a platform; it's kind of an action adventure as well, like Horizon, and it just doesn't feel.
Would you say that Horizon was the closest comparison to Kenner? Because that's the one that whenever I'm looking at the footage as people are seeing it now, and the one game that always springs to mind is someone said to me, how would you describe Kenner? I would say it's kind of Horizon, kind of Uncharted, not quite as good as either, but you know what I mean?
I would say Horizon reminds me a lot of it.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the setting, the character, and just the feel of it.
It does look unreal as well. Like there's no two ways about it. Like when it comes to best visuals come December time, it's gonna be a bloodbath of a fight because like you can literally say anything about Kenner, any criticism or any praise, and I'll be like, yeah, no, I can see it. I can absolutely see it. But when it comes to visuals, if someone were to say like, I know it doesn't look very good, I'd have to be like, no, I can't. It is a absolutely astonishing looking video game, isn't it, Chris?
Oh yeah, hands down. Like the studio are like renowned for their animation. Like they did that Majora's Mask kind of like fan film. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen that.
I'll link it in the review. So if you haven't seen it, go and check the review out and read it and watch it even.
I've read the review. I just didn't click the link, which is bad.
Yeah, but it's well worth watching because that was a good 5 years ago. And they're gifted. Like so, they get it right. They get it so right. It kind of in a weird way reminds me of Hellblade in the budget and the not anything to do with the style or the themes, but just like Hellblade, the controls are quite basic, but it looks incredible. And Kenner is kind of similar in that respect. Like it's not a big studio, but it looks fantastic.
It doesn't push the envelope in terms of gameplay, and I don't think that's like again. I wonder sometimes these days when people read a review, did you give it 7.5?
Yeah,
I can't.
7.5 sounds about right.
Yeah, I think that's what you gave it, and I think people look at that and go, "That's a good score for a video game." And honestly, it's still one worth playing. I would argue it's definitely worth playing, and I think it's a cheaper priced game actually. I think I want to say it's slightly lower price than like a Deathloop or whatever, but it's just a strange game.
Is Alan Wake full?
No,
I don't know. Is it not?
No, it's not. No,
okay.
I remember seeing it in the store. It's not. But I think with kind of the gameplay, like not just that it feels a bit old at times and a bit kind of stiff, but I just think.
You just wanted to say stiff, didn't you?
It repeats a lot. I do. It just repeats a lot of the same kind of mechanics, and there are like new abilities that you learn, but it never really pushes the boundaries, and you do feel like you're doing the same thing a lot over and over again. Like similar kind of like sand. Like we haven't talked about the rock, the little cute little things, which there's got to be plushes out now, right?
There definitely is, yeah. Yeah,
but,
there is.
They kind of are sent to do jobs for you, a la Pikmin or even Wild at Heart that came out a couple of months ago. But they don't get used as much as they could, and it's all kind of very similar in that sense, and it does kind of get old relatively quickly. But I feel that the visuals are kind of what makes you keep playing because it does look good continuously, and it does change like the different places you get to go and stuff like that, and the way the character animations are, like it is stunning, and I think that has a lot to do with people's penchant for returning to it. But it's not the best game, but it's certainly one that people shouldn't miss out on, especially for the price, because people want new PS5 games. I don't even know if it's on PS4, is it?
Yes, PS4, PS5, and PC.
Well, I think if you've got a PS5, get it, because just for those visuals alone,
I think
the way it looks.
It was when I sort of came to just cut together some B-roll for this very podcast that people have just watched that I realised how much running around I was doing, and I was like, I'm trying to find some action. Like I'm trying to find a bit of action where I'm fighting or doing something, and I felt like there's an awful lot of me just kind of running around, and I was just playing the game naturally. I wasn't trying to capture it for that. It was just me playing the video game, and I felt like there's an awful lot of just running around, which is fine because it's a beautiful world, but I also think that's a byproduct of the fact that it's not particularly long, it's not particularly deep, really, and I think they're one of those studios where you'd go there one to watch, because I would presume that they will be a sequel.
You think of, as I was mentioned, It Takes Two. Like their last game before that was A Way Out, which wasn't the best game, but it's pretty good. And then they make It Takes Two, and it's like it's like a different studio. But I feel like you're right. Like this studio, after, like what's next is exciting.
Well, let's move.
This is a great starting game.
Speaking of like sort of the sophomore album, as it were, or what will be the sophomore album for Ember Lab, Jett the Far Shore is, I believe, the second game from Super Brothers, which I can't actually remember the name. What was it? The original game?
I don't know, but it was like
it was massive. It was on mobile, and it was ages ago, and it was like hugely popular, and everyone loved it. And I think it came to like Vita eventually, and might be Switch. I'm not sure, but this is Jett the Far Shore, and I'll be honest with you, I've seen like trailers of it at a lot of Sony stuff. I don't know what this game is, so I think the easiest thing to do is for me to just press a button that's going to put footage on the screen and have Chris White tell you what the hell this game is. I mean, if you haven't read his review, obviously, you do that as well, but let's go for it.
So, Jett the Far Shore is about exploration and uncovering a world untouched. Like, it is a place where, as May, a girl who is a scout, she has been sent on this very important mission with some other people to go and kind of research this new planet. And you do so by flying around in your jet. J-E-W. So it's not just a clever name. And it's kind of this, the footage you're seeing, you're not seeing the full capabilities of the jet itself, because there are times when you're speeding across kind of miles of ocean and land, and it's just so freeing, and like it's so good to control. Like, it feels so great to control. But then there are times like this where you're kind of doing little mini kind of puzzles where you're using the environment, researching the environment using your like resonator, finding out what does what reacts to what, and how that benefits you and your team, and you're just kind of free to do what, not to do what you want, but to kind of.
I thought you were going to start singing then.
I should have done. And it's a really clever game. It's not perfect by any means, because there is one big issue with it for me, and that's the dialogue. It is annoying almost, because it's in a different language. I don't know what language, which is fine. Subtitles are fine, no issue with that. But it requires you to read a lot when you're out there and you're being told what to do, or you're being given prompts of where to go, or how to complete an objective. And you're trying to control this ship, and at times you are speeding, or you are on an island and you're trying to do something yourself, and they're talking and you're not necessarily taking it in, and then you realize, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be reading the subtitles, because otherwise I'm not going to know what to do. And then by that time it's kind of too late, so you're kind of flying around waiting for someone to say something, so you do miss certain aspects of the kind of goals that you're supposed to complete. And it's irritating, because it's so good, these little things kind of let it down. But yeah, it's very No Man's Sky. You do feel very,
I'm getting that big time,
kind of alone on this huge, like they space is massive, right? So they make you. It feels like that. It feels like you're completely like away from anything, and you are sent to this planet with nothing, and you are basically trying to recreate civilization after a potential oblivion. So you are trying to find where's best to set up, your new civilization, and by checking that there's no dangers and that you're not going to disrupt any of the species that are living there, or it's safe to do so. And at the same time, you've got these other threats and this interesting story that's kind of threaded throughout your missions and whatnot. And there's kind of a lot going on, and it takes a while to kind of get into that and to really kind of appreciate it, because it's very slow. And like the most annoying gameplay elements are when you are in first person mode. So a lot of it, you are flying around, or you're turning off your thrusters and you're kind of moving at slow speed, but that allows you to kind of investigate. But when you kind of land and you go into first person mode, the movement is awful. Like, it's so clunky and so kind of slow paced, that it just doesn't feel good to do. Like, so you much prefer to kind of fly around. So when you have to land, it's like, oh, I was having fun. I don't really want to do this. So that and the dialogue aside, like it's amazing. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I think people will enjoy it, and it's not like the end of the world. The first person stuff. It's not. You don't do it a lot. You're not always on the ground. You're more in the air. But the dialogue is a bit of an issue, and I tried to look to see if there was a way to put. I don't like dubs, but I feel it needs it because of the way that the dialogue is presented within the game. You will miss stuff.
I mean, I have a hard time concentrating when people are talking to me when I'm flying or doing something like that. If I was driving somewhere or doing something, I was like, crap, what did they say? If you're not even hearing it in a language that you understand, and then
the amount of times in Satisfactory when we were playing where I would say something and there would just be absolute silence,
radio silence,
and then I realised hasn't listened at all, and then you would go, what about if we do this? And if you could have seen me, I would be there going,
literally just said that. I'm so bad at it. I'm focused on it. I'm focused on the thing at hand, and
it's funny. It is funny though, because you literally sometimes it's like an eye roll, but sometimes it's just so funny because you were almost like verbatim. So it's like it has actually gone in because you've repeated exactly the thing back. So there's some part of you that has gone in there, and then it's just sort of floated around for a bit, and then you've just gone. It's almost like you've gone. It's been a bit quiet for a while, haven't I? I better say something, and then you do. It's magic.
There have definitely been cases where I'm like, he definitely asked me a question about 2 minutes ago, and I've just not answered him. So I'm an honor.
I've been sat there like this going. Just wait.
Yeah, he's just an arsehole.
At some point, he'll reply.
Yeah, so that part does sound really annoying for someone like me.
Yeah.
Because I just be like, I don't know what you want, and if it's not quick to nag me,
no, it isn't,
and remind me, I'd be like, I've no idea what I'm supposed to be doing now.
It is very much about you exploring it for yourself. But when those prompts do come up, it takes a while for something else to happen, or for you to make a mistake or to fly off course, for them to go, "What are you doing? I told you to go and do this. Why aren't you doing it?"
Yeah,
it's like because you can't.
Right.
Yeah. So those aside, it's a cracking game. It's really good. Especially because I know absolutely nothing about it. So.
Well, it is one of those games where it kind of almost not coasted by, but it because of the pedigree, there was an element where you thought, well, this would be good, so I don't even have to worry about it. At some point, I'll play it because it'll be good. I'm looking at it; it does look intriguing. I'm not sure it looks like it's for me because I kind of feel like with the No Man's Sky stuff, I don't know, I feel like you have to be in the right place for those kind of games.
You do, because there's a lot of scanning and
exactly that,
investigating. Like the very first kind of main mission you have to do is you're given a time limit of 20 minutes to just go and scan stuff, and that's it. And you have to wait for those 20 minutes to kind of run out before you move on to the next bit.
Yeah, I think
they might frustrate people.
At the moment, I think I'll stick to FIFA 22 or something like that.
What a
good shout.
Just a segue master.
Who wants to talk about FIFA 22? This is the bit where, once a year, people are like, okay, fine, but I'll listen to the podcast, but I'm not happy.
I reckon we should let Chris start.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll start. I'll start with it. 'Cause I've only played certain modes, so I'm still getting my teeth into it. But I'll start at the beginning. I think that's a good place to start with the intro of FIFA 22 because... Yeah. Normally, in most FIFAs, it just goes, oh, do you remember the Champions League final? Should we play that again?
Play that
Welcome.
Again.
Let's just play that. And I'm like, okay, clearly United haven't made it in there, so I'm a team I don't want to play as, but that's cool. I'll play the Champions League final. And then in FIFA 22, it's about half a film.
Why? Why have they done this?
I don't know.
I'm not on social media, so and that's not an advert for saying how great I am because we all know that anyway. But were people clamoring for this? Did I miss a whole thing where people were like, oh, we need more kind of that?
No, I don't think anybody's going. Do you know what would really help if we had some random cinematics and you teach me how to run, put a couple of skill games in there.
Can we see Mbappe and Omre act?
Yeah,
but I do want to stop there. Yeah, we need to pause on the Thierry Henry bits.
Well, hang on. Let me tee up to people that haven't seen it what the heck we're talking about, and then we'll talk about Henry and Beckham. So basically, what happens now at the start of FIFA 22 is you're this up and coming superstar that's got a trial at PSG, and there's basically this various cinematics leading up to you arriving at the stadium, playing a bit of football, and then basically you go and watch in the evening the match.
Don't you get to put your age in first as well?
Oh, your weight. Yeah.
I obviously never put my real weight in because I want to be able to play the game, but I did put my age in.
Oh yeah, so I put
I'm a
40-year-old
man.
I put the biggest weight you could be.
Okay, fair play.
Just because I wanted to see what it would look like on the screen, and I didn't look like it made any difference whatsoever. Okay. This guy still looked like a normal, So I was like, I'm not too sure why that did. But anyway, so you can put your weight and height and age and stuff in. But yeah, and then you've done your little trial at PSG, and then in the evening you watch the semi-final of the Champions League, which was
semi-final, by the way.
Well, that's because PSG didn't make it to the final because Chelsea knocked them out. But Mbappe's on the front, so so you end up playing the semi-final of the Champions League as PSG against Chelsea with all their new players, which always makes me laugh.
That's great, yeah. Like
I'll just play the Champions League semi-final against Chelsea with Lionel Messi.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, that always happens in FIFA, so that's fine. But yeah, so then it culminates in the match that you expect. So there's all this extra stuff now at the start, and we do have to talk about a few things because some of it is actually atrocious. So the first thing is the appalling acting from David Beckham and Thierry Henry.
Right, so let's pause there because I feel that you've actually even jumped ahead of that.
Okay.
Beckham doesn't look great.
Beckham looks atrocious. Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
He is a handsome man. Like there is no. Yeah.
He looks ill. He looks old. He looks ill.
Yeah.
I have to say the only person in it. Well, actually, no. Mbappe looks like Mbappe, and I thought Cantona looked like Cantona.
Cantona's alright, but it's so brief. Like it's so.
Yeah, so that's fine, but still, compared to everyone else, a highlight.
It's the best bit of that intro.
I thought Beckham looked really, like you say, ill, and I would not be happy if I was Beckham.
No, not with all the money that's made in those games.
So it's a bit of a tangent, but have you seen the TV advert with Robin van Persie in it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
he doesn't look like Robin van Persie. No, it literally goes from his face to his character face, and I'm like, that looks terrible.
It's particularly weird to me because I actually think this game looks incredible. Like I don't get it. Like Beckham is in this game, I would imagine, in Ultimate Team. I would have thought. Yeah. So,
very, very tangential point. Just while we're talking about people's faces, if anyone wants to laugh, and I feel very bad picking on one particular player, we want to go and check out how Jared Bowen looks in this game.
Okay,
honestly, just go and have a look.
Harvey Elliott was having a dig. Apparently, the young Liverpool player who got crocked. Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I know he was on loan at Blackburn, but once you get out of the Premier League and the biggest teams in Europe, EA always, not just EA, all football games.
They've never looked good.
I used to play as Bolton until I just couldn't do it anymore because
I go straight for Derby.
Yeah.
But normally, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
But to be fair, people should be grateful because if eFootball was the only game that people had.
I do want to talk about that when we in a bit. Yeah. I do want to just ask. Let's get back to Beckham. Well, no, let's get back to Henry, right? Because I watch a lot of football, okay, and Thierry Henry isn't a bad pundit when he's on.
No, this is what I was so surprised at.
Is it Renault adverts he does?
Yeah.
It's not
Renault
bad.
Adverts.
It's not like he is. It's not like you go. He's all right.
Like Beckham has always been a little bit wooden. So you kind of go, okay, Beckham did this. This is going to be a little bit awful. His voice is a bit unfortunate. It's fine. It's just Beckham. That's cool. But like you say, I've listened to Thierry Henry's being in adverts. That's full fight. It's quite charismatic.
Absolutely charismatic. 100%.
And then literally in this, for some reason, he can't seem to deliver a line. So, I don't think it helps. The character model looks a little bit like the facial animations look a bit.
But it's definitely him, right?
Yeah,
that's the only thing I was wondering. I mean, I'm almost sure it's him because there's enough.
Well, I kind of wouldn't have Henry in the game if you're not.
Yeah, no, I don't think if you're EA, you have Henry like that. You pick another player who you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's so.
But it was weird because you have the interactions between Henry and Mbappe on the pitch,
which also are incredibly uncomfortable for me.
But I thought Mbappe lines were delivered better than Henry's, and I'm like, Henry's done all this other stuff. So
do you not think that's because Mbappe is just speaking completely normally? Like I imagine that is his voice, whereas Henry is thinking, "Oh, I need to act." Whereas
I think that's it. Yeah,
you don't need to act. I feel like he's acting and it's bad. But also, why didn't someone take? Should we do another take, Thierry? Or why's that? Because you were fucking awful, mate. Sorry. Sorry, mate, it was awful. And as for that bit about where he takes you up there, and then just for some reason, Son's getting in. Why is he there?
Which bit are we talking about now?
Heung-min Song. When you go and get your suit.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he's just in the Paris Saint-Germain shop. He
Oh,
doesn't
right,
play
yeah,
for
yeah.
them or Chelsea. He's a Spurs player. But for some reason, Son
Well, it's
is
the same
just
reason.
getting in the
Here's Lewis Hamilton randomly, and Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, but why would he be in... This is the...
I know that. Yeah, I take that point.
It's like... it didn't even occur to me at first. I was like, oh, there's Son. And then I was like, why is he here? And it's like, oh, yeah, because they've got him.
They've got him, yeah.
Anyway,
the
actual game.
Right, the actual football. So the intro bit is needlessly padded. You learn how to run and run with the ball, and then you play a football game.
Yep.
Needlessly padded, but it's an experience, so enjoy that. The football wise, so I've played, like I said, I've played a bit of Ultimate Team, played a bit of Squad Battles, and played a bit of Pro Clubs. My impressions of this, and it'd be interesting if you agree. Both you played it, yeah? I think you have.
Yeah,
so both.
PS5.
How?
PS5, I think, aren't we?
Yeah. Whether you guys agree with me? I kind of feel like it's a game. Well, it definitely feels like a game that's more about dribbling and passing than previous games. I feel like the keepers are better. Not perfect, but better.
Keepers are great, like almost too good actually. Sometimes,
yeah. In some respects, you got how the bloody hell have you saved that? Tackling feels a little bit more forgiving than it has in other FIFAs. I feel like it's easier to tackle people. Like I say, from what I've played, it feels easier to tackle in the game. From a Pro Clubs perspective, I almost feel like the AI is very good at the moment. I don't know whether they'll change that, but the AI feels very strong. You know, when you don't play with an any and you put the any as the AI, that when we come up against teams with no any and it's all AI control back tough. Four and stuff, and it's like, geez, how'd you break these players down? You know, whereas
Chris didn't cut out then. I think he was going to swear and didn't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened then.
That's what we kind of that would be my takeaways from how it feels different to 21. There's a lot of similarities, but yeah, they're my initial takeaways. Chris, I don't know, you obviously reviewed it, how you feel about it, if you agree or...
Yeah, I think generally, I think the passing, definitely, there's a big emphasis on that, and playmaking. Like the couple of mechanics that have been added, I feel... I mean, I didn't really use them a lot.
You try, don't you? And then you're like, I don't want to do this.
The off-the-ball stuff and the player lock and stuff.
Yeah, it's too much for me to think about.
Yeah, it's too much.
The controls are the same.
And they're all muscle memory as well. That's the other
exactly.
thing.
Yeah. Like locking players, like when you can lock to a player and stuff. It's all like that. It's all cool, but
I think that's quite clever if you use it enough, because the amount of times you switch to a player and it's not the player you want, and it's like so frustrating.
That thing where you can click, that's great.
On a counter attack, and you're trying to get your defender on it, bloody Pogba's selected, and you're like, what? And then by that point they've scored. So that's quite clever. And then I've tried the, when you get a player to either make a run, and then you can kind of direct exactly which direction they run through at. Like if the players are good enough and you're playing with a decent enough team and their stats are high, then they can make some excellent runs, and your through balls can the players themselves can look amazing if you can control it all how you want it to.
It's interesting. I completely agree. By the way, I think it's interesting that I feel like through balls on their own aren't as useful.
No, you need to be a little bit smart about
it. Unless they're like obvious ones, like straight down the line or something that you can't.
Well, they're kind of the Jordan Henderson quarterbacks passing now, isn't it? It's the kind of deep lying midfielder, and you realise that. I mean, to stick with the Liverpool example, that Mane is like right on the throw-in line, and he's way away from the defender. And if you knock one long as a through ball, he'll break that line.
Yeah,
and also I think. They've got better at that working. Like now, when the ball goes there, and if the defender comes to him, like I feel, and the same goes for defending. I feel like you don't go into it knowing for absolute certain I'll win that because it's going to favour me as a defender, and the attacker's never going to get that. I feel like realism, I guess. Like when the ball's in the air now, it genuinely feels like I'm going to try and win this, but I'm not sure if I will. Like in real football, you might think you've done the run.
Aggressive in the air, isn't it?
Yes, very.
The amount of times you like fall over, and even when you like on goal and the goalie comes out and absolutely levels you.
Yes,
like, there's a lot of falling over. But yeah, I feel like the aerial attacks are a million times better, and just the kind of the AI off the ball. So goalie clears it, and you can see your defenders run to the ball, getting in a great aerial position for you to kind of switch to them and then try and head it yourself. Like that never felt right.
No,
but like just quickly touching back on the long balls or the quarterback punts, a la Henderson. Like when they're less lofted. I feel there's more power in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, that's amazing because one of the issues I've always had is when you're kind of playing the ball up the pitch, if you kind of play a long ball to your left mid, it's kind of there straight away.
You're going to lose it as well, aren't you? You know you're going to lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like that. You get it to them. You can get it to them straight away without the defender just waltzing in, stealing the ball. So there's these little touches. I feel like it feels amazing to play.
There's more viable options to actually play with. And I think on the whole, I would just say we got a question in the live chat from Jamie O'Neill. Who says, do you think that the players who master these new additional controls, like the off-the-ball stuff that you mentioned, Chris White, do you think they will have a distinct competitive advantage if they master them over those who don't? I was thinking about that a lot, actually.
I don't think so.
You don't?
I disagree. I think that they will.
Oh, you think they will? Okay.
I think because of what I was saying before, I think whilst there are tweaks to things like through balls, I feel like historically, because you haven't had the control that you have now, potentially, if you master those options of like runners and stuff, the through ball kind of did some of it for you. And you go, if you can see it, it'll almost do it for you. Sometimes you could annoy it, it doesn't do it. Yeah. Whereas because that's been taken back and you're almost forcing you to do it,
I suppose it's
gives
more
you the freedom, but it also requires the
skill,
the learning of the skill. And so I do think
it's interesting, man, because I've watched quite a lot of FIFA esports for work and stuff. Yeah. And I have to be honest, like the last few years, not the work, but the actual watching of the FIFA esports, I have not enjoyed at all because it is the same all the time. It's based around the Ultimate Team model in that, so you know that Ronaldo will be on the pitch. You know that a lot of people would have like someone like Edwin van der Sar in goal. They've got everyone. They can pick from everyone. And it would be a case of like, this person's 11 against this person's 11, there might be one player difference. And that would be a talking point because it's like, oh my God, and this person's gone with Pele to start, whereas normally Pele's on the bench. Like, it's that simple. And the last few years, it's just been like, the ball just moves like that. And it's like, it's not, predictable's the wrong word because I can't, if it was predictable, I'd do it and I'd make some money. Do you know what I mean? Like, we'd all do it. But I feel like my answer to this is I don't know. Chris has said no. You've said yes. I may as well play devil's advocate and say I don't know. I think I lean toward Chris Hyde here, and I think they will. I actually hope they do because I think that will bring out some really interesting, exciting, potentially. It's very early. Like with FIFA, it's always an interesting aspect because FIFA you play for hundreds of hours. Like a review now is great because you can only review what you've played. But in 100 hours, but that was also the thing that struck me straight away about this is that yes, career mode is really, they need to do something with it. I don't know the answer. They need to do something with career mode because it's my favourite mode and it's just the same every year now. Like they do these little tweaks and for me it's not enough. I don't know what the answer is, so I can't lay claim to that. But the thing that struck me straight away is how it felt. The gameplay. And that used to be the thing that people said about PES. The slogan was "Gameplay is king." That was the thing with PES. That PES doesn't exist anymore. Only in the past. It's now eFootball. But the thing about PES was that people could always say, "Yes, EA have got the licenses. Yes, they've got all the money and can throw it at all the celebrities. But the gameplay is king." And I'm not happy about the situation with eFootball because competition for EA is important because it means you get a game this good.
I was going to say, you almost worry.
I am very
23.
worried.
What will 23 push the boundaries?
I am very worried
because 22, I feel like it's done a lot. It's actually done a lot because I play a lot of pro clubs, as you know. You think I'd be better.
You can
at
play
it.
as a woman now in a pro clubs mix.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to look at how that's probably devolved.
Yeah,
because
but
I can imagine.
They've also overhauled like how you level up in pro clubs. And the things and they've done this thing actually. I don't know how much you guys have played at pro clubs, but there's basically you obviously get a rating each match, like every player does, but it's also a running total. But it literally gives you little commentary.
Oh, okay.
When you do a pass, it's a good pass, or like it will tell you if you've done like a bad cross or you're out of position. It will come up with a big red message going out of position. Right. Or like the most patronising one is nice try when you had a shot and you just missed. Nice try, you had a go. Well done. But it's so patronising. It's so like, or you could think that was a great cross and it just comes up with this big red message going, that was a bad cross. And you're like, fuck off, FIFA. So that's. I'll be wondering after hundreds of hours of pro clubs when FIFA is still grading me. Also always graded you with a rating, but with literal slogans as you play with red and green messages.
Do you think next year? Because, well, we may as well start mentioning eFootball. Has anyone played the launch version of this?
No, I haven't. No.
I haven't had time. I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they did say, look, when it launches, it's basically a demo. I mean, it's honest.
I just don't think that's good enough.
No, I'm not.
No, I know you're not.
Up for them,
just don't launch it. I don't want a half-made game. Like
they took a year off.
Not when I'm going up against FIFA 22, which has made a lot of changes. And I know we slagged off some of them in jest.
Yeah, but that's the silly half an hour opening and it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like, yes, there are a lot of similarities, but I genuinely feel like there's been effort into improving this year's tile. And from what I've played so far, a lot of it seems to be sticking and feeling like a new experience. And then you have that, and you just, like you say, it's not a full game. It's therefore not going to compete with my time. I've always been this person. I've always been a FIFA person. Obviously, I played PES as was for the first time last year. To go read that on the site. There's a great article on there. But like
that was year before last, wasn't it?
Year before, yeah. When it was
last
was out.
Because I say they took a year off, but there was like the season update thing, which is
but it should have competition, like you say, and I do worry
now. I'm worried now
because why make FIFA 23 the step change in content or direction or thought that FIFA 22 is?
Often you get the one banger a generation from FIFA. I think, and I think this is it. Whether they continue with it, I mean, but like I really am impressed by FIFA. And Christ, you shouldn't be, because like the money they make, let alone, you know what I mean. They should make a good video game. They should.
Yeah.
They should. They make insane cash. But I am genuinely like last year's was decent, but it was just decent. Like this
is more of a carbon copy because it was in that middle-in process, wasn't it, between consoles?
Yeah. Whereas this feels, I will say, I don't know have either of you played like because apparently the hypermotion thing is like new generation only. Have either of you tried it or seen it on like I don't know, Xbox One? Because my kids are playing it on Xbox One. I'm not. I mean, I've not really played it. I've gone into their room, seen them playing FIFA, and gone. I'll sit and watch for a few minutes, then gone out. But I can't say that I've looked at it and gone, the difference, And they've done the same. They've like come in here when I'm playing it, and they've not like walked away going, oh god, our one's crap. So I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't mind. I will say I absolutely empathise with the people who are playing on PC who are furious about it because the PC version is the old gen version. That is absolutely outrageous. And as for the Switch
what I'm
version,
outraged about. West Ham still have those fucking bubbles at the start of every match. I thought that was going to get leveled back because I hate it. The amount of times I keep going for a bubble when I start thinking it's a ball, and they last for like a good 15 minutes.
Yeah, they're going. Yeah.
You need to record yourself and make a little video of you running after bubbles by mistake and then swearing.
Has anyone tried playing as Wrexham?
Sorry, what?
Well, because they're in it, aren't they? Because
you said Wrexham. I thought you said something else.
You thought I said Rectum because obviously
Ryan Reynolds in the crowd.
Well, this is what I was wondering. Right, I just wondered. I mean, probably not, but because they did a little bit of promotion for it, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I just wondered if there was like, because they do a lot of the managers and that are in the games and stuff, and I wondered. I kept meaning to check and I forgot because I just forgot. But I wondered, but if no one has, and let's do some. I mean, overall, FIFA 22. I think all three of us are very very keen.
Love it.
Couple of listener correspondences this week. We'll do this one first because I think it's probably aimed at me mostly, but I'm sure that Chris Hyde has played it a bit as well. Matt King from Discord says, Mario Maker 2, how do you find the good stuff, the proper levels, not the silly on-rails or music stuff or the over-the-top challenge levels? How do you do it? Any recommendations? Does anyone else have any opinion before I go for it?
You go for it, and I can always interject if I disagree.
Very difficult is the answer. To be honest with you, the sweetest spot I've found is just playing Endless Normal, because the majority of the time they're either bad levels, but they're over and they're completable without life losing like 20 lives. Expert, like the series I'm doing, go and watch it. There should be a new episode this week, and I'll do another. I do it live for Patreons and it's edited for YouTube, and it's brutal because the levels in Expert seem to be awful because at least you know what you're expecting in Endless Super Expert. Whereas in Expert, you kind of end up with a level that's like, this is absolutely fine. And then all of a sudden you've got a speed run. Okay, they're hit or miss. And then you've just got this most brutal, shell jump or some awful challenge that you just can't work it out, like a hidden block. And these all seem to end up in Expert. So the truth is I would recommend playing on Endless Normal because at least you'll be able to complete 99% of the levels. I think the garbage is lessened in normal.
Yeah. I mean, you get the other side of it, which is this level is weird, not difficult, but weird.
Yes.
I think you agree. The thing is, you're going to get the on-rails music stuff if you sort by they're the top rated because most people have enjoyed it. There's no challenge, mostly, but it's impressive, right? So if you're not looking for that, I'd agree with you. I suppose the only other thing you could do is if you are the type of person that likes a 30-second speed run, there's obviously those little tags and you can filter by those tags. Yeah. So if there's certain types of those that you enjoy more than others, that's the only other thing that you could possibly do. A lot of it is luck of the draw. And like I say, if you're not looking for over-the-top challenges, stick the difficulty where you like it. And normal's probably that sweet spot. The danger with Expert is you can sometimes land super expert ones which haven't been bumped up to super expert yet. And like you say, they can be like shell jump, Kaizo block, absolute pain in the asses. So that's, I'd probably agree with you. Or if, like I say, if there's like short and sweet tags or speedruns, if, they could be other ones that, you could unearth some gems, but I'd agree with you. It's very hard to consistently get those.
Well, the other question we've got this week, let's Chris White, since we answered that one, you can answer this one. McPoo also from Discord says he's been playing Death Stranding Director's Cut and he really wishes there was an option to turn off all the enemy encounters. Can't speak now. The delivery stuff is great fun, but dealing with BTs and mules is just a chore. Are there any games where you'd like to are there any games where you'd like the ability to turn off enemy encounters so you can just enjoy the game completely unhindered? Any games?
It's a really hard question.
I've got one.
He's got a good point. I haven't got a game.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking about what he said, and I thought, really? And then I thought, do you know what? The further you get in this game, the longer distances you have to travel. Those BTs are a real pain in the arse.
I never minded the mules so much because it wasn't difficult at all.
No,
but the BTs were...
They chase you down and you just need to go from A to B and you're struggling as it is because the terrain's absolutely mental.
Yeah,
but like the BTs, because you have to hold your breath. And that takes ages and you just want to... So I get it. Well, I'll keep thinking.
Do you know when the thing in Death Stranding where the rain starts and the thing goes out of his shoulder, and it's like that?
Yeah.
And do you know what that actually reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of when playing Final Fantasy VII back in the early days on PlayStation, when you'd be just walking around a field and it goes random battle and you just like that, and it's that kind of thing. So when the thing comes out and it starts raining, it's like, oh no. And that's my answer, I guess. as much as now I appreciate it, back then when I was on my third playthrough, like the random encounters of Final Fantasy VII, I wish I could have turned them off in the field. So,
to be fair, like Pokemon, certain Pokemon games,
that same sort of thing, yeah.
There's a lot of games like that, but the last
nowadays,
one I played was Let's Go, and I just used to hate. You'd see someone like a kid just stood facing down the screen, and you knew as soon as you walked past them, they'd want to fight. It's like, I'll just go away.
It almost became a game of like, how many steps can I make it before?
It's a difficult one. Come
on, Chris, you must have one. You must.
Hellblade.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It's difficult. It's difficult because I feel like there are some games. Because I was thinking something left field, which will get me shot. But let me explain. If I could tweak the question, it'd be probably a better answer in terms of like, because there's a lot of games where combat is important to the story. Because you've kind of got to find a game where the story still works without the combat, which is very difficult to find. It's really good story, but the combat's superfluous. Where I don't think the combat is superfluous, but I wouldn't be bothered if there was less of it because the story is so good. Witcher 3? Do you know what I mean? Do you know?
Well,
in terms
I understood the words you said. Yeah.
In terms, I'm thinking because the question is so flipping hard. Like, I don't want to turn off combat, but in terms of, I'm trying to think of games with really good stories where the combat's not so good, and that's where I'm trying to go with it because it's a really hard question. So probably Hellblade, but I think like Witcher 3, the combat is nowhere near as good as other facets of that game. So I was thinking that as well.
Since you've upset everyone, Chris. Chris White, ask Chris Hyde what he thinks of Ted Lasso.
No,
it wouldn't matter because he hasn't seen it. He hasn't watched it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he doesn't like, because anyone that's watched it.
Oh no,
if they don't like it, then there's something wrong with us.
Yeah, they're dead inside.
Absolutely.
No pressure, Chris.
Oh, I will watch it just to stop you plopping on about it. But
fair, it's like you have to have an Apple account just to watch it. There's not a great deal else.
It's Chris Hyde we're talking about
to
here.
be fair,
you get 6 months free on PS5, don't you? Probably. Yeah, actually, go and watch it. Come on.
Let me let's just clear things up. Chris White said to me, "Have you watched Ted Lasso?" Okay, and I was like, "I haven't. I keep thinking about watching it, and everyone seems to say it's good." And he was just like, "Go watch it." So do you know what I did? I went and watched it, and then I watched the whole and my wife. I didn't watch her. I mean, we watched it together. We watched the whole first series, caught up, and I think at the time of, I think it's the last episode of the series this week. I think. Chris Hyde, when did I recommend it to you? Do you reckon?
Are you done? Like, look,
that's not a very nice answer.
Well, it's not a very nice kind of insinuation.
I'm just trying to bully you into watching a television show
live.
Yes, it is.
I don't know. Yesterday.
No, that's just a barefaced lie.
I know it is. Look, I know I need to watch this so much. I need to still watch bloody What If. I haven't even watched any of that.
I caught up on that as well.
I need to watch the new blooming Witcher series on Netflix. I haven't seen any of that.
What about Why the Last Man on Disney Plus? Has anyone watched that?
I was going to. It's on the list. Is it worth watching?
It's quite good, yeah.
Okay, because I saw the trailer and I was like, that looks good.
There's 4 episodes on there now, so it gives you time to kind of warm to it.
No, it looked good. The trailer looked good, so yeah. I'm up for that. And if you're up for subscribing,
well done. They've got better as the podcast has gone on.
If you're up for subscribing to our channel, you can do that just by clicking that button. You know how to do it by now. Give us a like. Send us to your friends. We hope we give you a little bit of entertainment. And if you go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, you'll find more information about us as a YouTube channel, as a website, as a everything, really. We've been doing this for a very long time, and we still enjoy it. So there you go. But if you go to Patreon, you can get more behind-the-scenes stuff. We give away codes. You can get exclusive early access. We've got a show starting soon with myself and Mr. Hyde that I think I pushed the first episode. Like, Mr. What?
You say Mr. Hyde?
No, said Mr. Hyde. This is what you were saying about you not listening. This is
No,
exactly it in action.
You don't enunciate
Live.
properly. It's not my fault.
No, you're right. As the host of this, I am very bad at speaking. But yeah, you can see the first sort of pilot episode of that, and we'll put the first proper episode of that. I'm trying not to rush it out because there is a moment in the second proper episode that is just me laughing my tits off, and I watched it back 3 times, and I'm still laughing at myself, laughing at him. You shouldn't laugh at your own stuff, but it just gets me every time. So that's a teaser for you. So go to patreon.com/goddesgeek. Chris, thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
For those who don't know, we normally do this ahead of time for our Patreons. I call it fixture congestion, really. This week has meant that we actually have done it. This is live. It's staying up. There's nothing happening afterwards. It's just live and available to everyone here and now, and the audio feed will go up in about the next 20 minutes, I guess. Thank you very much for being here with us. If you did enjoy us, give us your thumbs up, the old bent finger that I can't do. When you do a thumbs up, do your thumbs straight, or do you like that?
I mean, they're that. So
yeah. So there you go. So we will speak to you next week, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye bye for now.